Right, team, welcome. Good to see you all. We're going to be working on this here. Right, Nearpod code GYL6N. Jump in there. We're still looking at international trade. Right, this is going to be something that we will spend a bit of time on. It's part of the unit of work. It used to be called international trade. Okay, that's what the unit used to be called. Under the new syllabus, the unit is now called the external sector or the external world or some such phrase like that. Okay, that's the new terminology. And what that means is that the unit is going to encompass international trade and economic development. Okay? Now, that's not going to bother you at this point necessarily, but later on, when we are making sure that we are getting the exam questions down and thinking about those exam questions, there's going to be a link, an additional link, between international trade and economic development. Okay? Right, so jump in GYL6N into our international trade. Why on earth do we trade? That's a question that we really need to start this off with. Why do we actually trade? What's the point in trading? So the first question is asking you, what is trade? What is trade? What is it all about? What are we doing if we are trading? Have a go. Let's see what you can come up with. What is trade? Good work, Ariane. That looks good. See what some others have to say. Okay. Good work, Jensen. Oh, and Jungsen. Oh, good work, Joel. Wait on a few more. Concept dealing with buying and selling of goods and economies. Good. Sounds a little bit Dr. Googly. It's a good answer. Okay. Last in for last in. Good work, Sharaf. Oh, wow, look at that. That's an interesting answer. Okay. There seems to be a slight lag in the recording. I apologise in advance when you go to re-watch it. That it may be a little bit robotic with me lagging just a tad. Good work. Now, one of the main points I want to get across here is that trade, when we talk about trade, we quite often fall into that external trap, that idea that we are trading with other countries overseas. And yes, that's true. We do for international trade, but we also need to consider trade within our economy, right? And that's something that people don't often think about. They don't often think that, KL trades with Penang, or Sarawak, which I learnt the other day, Sarawak trades with Malacca. Thank you. Right? So we don't often think about that, and technically that's trade. That is trade. Right? But it's within one country. right? Even if the country has islands offshore, it's still within one country. Yeah? And when people start talking about they want to ban trade or they want to restrict trade, they have to be a little bit careful, I think, right, in what they are actually referring to, because you wouldn't suggest banning trade with a part of your own country. Or would you? Maybe you would. But typically when people are anti-trade, right, they're thinking about other countries. Now, because I've made that link, the connection I'm trying to get across to you is that the only difference is that it's another country, right? So if they were part of your country, you would be perfectly happy to trade with them. But because they are outsiders, now all of a sudden we're not happy to trade with them. Does that make sense? So some people, when they're making these trade arguments, is actually a little bit of a code, in a way, for maybe we just don't like these people, yeah, and we don't want to trade with them. It could be just as simple as that. Particularly if you've seen some of the recent case studies coming out of America and countries that they have said that they haven't wanted to trade with. Yes, it's a little bit more complicated than that, I know, but we'll cope with that from there. International trade, that's when we're talking about the exchange of goods and services between different countries. Now, you'll notice I put the number 2 there. Why might I have put a number 2 there?
Are there two types, maybe?
Sorry, say it again?
Would there be like two types of trade?
It could be like 2 types of trade. Yes. Any other reasons why I put a number 2 there? Go on, rock stars. You know this one? I know it's early in Monday morning.
Second slide. I don't know.
You know? Yeah? Because it's
marks.
Yeah, that's the one. It's an exam question. Believe it or not, that's an exam question, and it is quite literally worth 2 marks. All right? So, knowing your definitions, quite important. Knowing them with a precision that you're not going to get confused between trade and international trade. Okay? That will be important. Right? Because when we're talking trade here, we're actually talking international trade. Yes, we could talk about local trade or domestic trade, etc., but we are typically going to be referring to international trade. Now, what I would like you to do is to find 3 countries and work out the trade data for those 3 countries. Now, some of you may have had a go at this already, right? In your previous lifetime as a Year 12, right? You may have found this information out, okay, when we had a big data challenge that you were finding all this real-life data. But remember, one of the big key things in your exam is going to be how able you are to incorporate real-life information into your answers. And it might be the real-life information from the case study they give you, or it might be that it's real-life information that you just know. Okay? So yes, it would be a real big advantage for you to have in your head some general data, statistics on countries. Who do the countries trade with? What do they trade? You know, how much do they trade? You know, some of the actual hard numbers. I know that's a difficult thing to perhaps get. You might want to have a table in a Word document. You may have already collected the information, because remember last year you were collecting data about GDP and data about inflation, so you can actually add this to that potentially, right? And have like a massive big, case study data-wise, right? I did say 3 countries. It's always good to try and choose countries that are potentially a bit different from each other, right? So that you can see a difference in what they're trading, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about 30 or 1 minute, right? And I'd like you to go online and try and find 3 countries. Just put them into a table. If you've already done this, you can have a minute to refresh your brain, right? Some data on their trade. You've got about a minute. starting from now.